Undoubtedly, we've all heard of the travel ban that President Trump issued right after his election. And in the first travel ban, because there's been two, in the first travel ban, the president banned, a temporary ban at least, for 90 days, that no refugees, no one from 7 countries could enter the United States. And those 7 countries are Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. So for 90 days, he banned anyone from entering the United States. And after he issued that executive order, the courts overturned it. The federal courts overturned it. And so he issued a second one. And he dropped, the only thing he really changed in it was dropping Iraq from the list of 7, so that now it is 6 countries that are banned. And of course, this too has been challenged in federal courts. And this week, actually, the Supreme Court is supposed to issue its ruling. We are expecting the Supreme Court this week to let us know and to let President Trump know if they will uphold the ban, if it is actually constitutional, or if the Supreme Court will, in effect, uphold the lower court's ruling and therefore kind of throwing out the ban, saying that it is, in fact, unconstitutional. But as I kind of read about and listened to all this playing out over the past months, there was something that struck me that was fascinating, I thought. Do you know how many Americans have died on American soil from terrorist attacks done or performed by people from any one of those 7 nations? Since 1975, do you know how many Americans have died on American soil from terrorist attacks enacted and performed by any one citizen from any one of those countries? 0. 0. Not one single American has died on American soil in a terrorist attack performed by anyone from one of those 7 countries, at least since 1975. And I'm obviously not saying that no Americans have died of terrorist attacks. We have. But also another point, the majority of those terrorists were actually born and raised in the United States. Nor am I saying that Americans have not died at the hands of Muslim terrorists from one of those countries. In fact, 6,900 of our men and women in uniform have given their life in the war on terror, and many of them at the hands of terrorists who claim one of those 7 countries as their home. But it blew my mind that the travel ban, naming those 7 countries, and there hasn't been one American killed on American soil at the hands of terrorists from those countries since 1975. In the gospel today, our Lord says, "Do not be afraid. Do not fear. Those that can kill or destroy the body but cannot destroy the soul. Rather, fear the one who can destroy both body and soul." Fear the one who can destroy both body and soul. I wonder if terrorism is really what we ought to be fearing so much. And I am not saying that we are not to be vigilant. We are. I'm not disputing that there are people, Muslim terrorists in our world, that want to destroy all Americans. I'm not disputing this. But do not be afraid of the one who can destroy the body. Rather, fear the one who can destroy both soul and body. And I'd like to reflect a little bit more on this passage, not so much on an individual basis, how we as individuals ought to approach this passage. Certainly, that's worth a homily. But today I want to focus more on, in the context of a larger picture, reflecting on this passage as a nation. Fearing the one who can destroy both body and soul. Because I'm not convinced that terrorism can or will ever do that. There was a couple of Gallup polls issued in the last couple of months, and I wanted to bring to our attention a couple of those stats. In one Gallup poll that was issued, the results stated that 77% of Americans believe that the moral life of our country is going down the tubes. 77% of American citizens believe that we are going the wrong direction when it comes to the moral life of our nation. And in the second Gallup poll, it was asking the question of many different faith groups, as well as the group of non-religious, the nones, where they fall on given moral issues. Are they morally permissible or not? And I want to highlight some very surprising stats as to where Catholics fall on some of these main issues of morality. 38% of Catholics believe that abortion is morally permissible. Nearly 40% of Catholic Americans believe that abortion is morally permissible. 47% of American Catholics think that doctor-assisted suicide and euthanasia is okay. 62% of American Catholics think that same-sex marriage is okay, that it's morally permissible. 59% of American Catholics think that premarital sex is okay. 69% of American Catholics think that divorce is a morally permissible thing. And 61% think that the death penalty is morally permissible, that it's okay. And granted, and we know that all these issues are greatly nuanced in our Catholic faith, how we approach them as Catholics, but at the end of the day, they are objectively immoral. And it's surprising to me that 77% of Americans think that we're going the wrong direction morally. But yet even us, we're not doing anything to change the moral direction. In fact, we as Catholics in many ways are even contributing to the incorrect direction of morals in our nation. But it's not any one of these issues that is really destroying the body, the people, and the soul of our nation. It's really kind of what undergirds them, even though in a number of those issues, more people are being destroyed than terrorism, like abortion. But it's really about what undergirds those issues, because that gets to the heart of what is the soul of the United States of America. And what is our soul? Freedom. Freedom is the soul of the United States of America. And so when our Lord says, do not be afraid of the one who can kill the body, rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both body and soul, as American Catholics, we have to look at freedom. What is destroying the soul of America today, and therefore has the capacity to destroy America itself from the inside out? It is a misunderstanding of freedom. A misunderstanding of freedom. And that's what's underneath every single one of those moral issues, a misunderstanding of freedom. Because in the incorrect understanding of freedom, how many Americans, even us, hold up freedom and how we understand freedom is freedom from constraint. Freedom from constraint. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to live. I get to make that choice, and you have no right to tell me how to live and what to do. That's how the vast majority of America understands freedom. But I wonder if that's why 6,900 of our soldiers have given their life for that kind of freedom. I wonder if that's why our Lord gave his life to free us. Freedom from constraint is not true freedom. It is actually not at all American freedom, because American freedom is 100% founded on Christian freedom, which is not a freedom from constraint, but a freedom of restraint. A freedom of restraint. There's a big difference between constraint and restraint. Constraint is an external body of people, a government maybe, that imposes a way of life on the individual, constraining them. Restraint has nothing to do with any external constraints. It is rather myself imposing restraints on myself. Saying that even though I have this impulse to live this way, or I want to do that, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to restrain myself because it's not the right thing to do. Because it is not what Christ permits me or allows me to do or calls me to live. This is true freedom. That is American freedom. And that freedom is dying. Do not be afraid of the one who can kill the body but not destroy the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both body and soul. And when our Lord tells this to his 12 apostles today, this comes in a larger context that begins much earlier in the 10th chapter of Matthew's Gospel. Our Lord is preparing his 12 apostles to send them out 2 by 2 into the world to preach and proclaim everything that he has taught them thus far. Gives them power over demons, to heal the sick, and tells them, I am sending you out as sheep among wolves. It's as if it's a coach telling his players before the game. It's a pep talk. When he tells them, do not be afraid of the one who can kill the body. In fact, he says, fear no one. In today's gospel, our Lord says, fear no one. Rather, fear the one who can destroy both body and soul. Right now, this week, we actually began what is called the Fortnight for Freedom. And this was a movement that was began about 4 or 5 years ago by the United States Catholic bishops. And in the Fortnight for Freedom, it always begins on January 21 or June 21. And it's 14 days leading up to July 4th, when we as a nation celebrate our Day of Independence. In this time period, these 2 weeks, this Fortnight for Freedom, the bishops are asking us as American Catholics particularly to look at religious freedom and asking us to work for an increase of religious freedom. But today I want to say that religious freedom has no foundation if it's not founded and true Christian freedom. So as our Lord today sends out his 12 apostles, telling them not to be afraid of anyone except the one who can destroy both body and soul, let us go forth today in this fortnight for freedom as American Catholics, people who enjoy the freedom that Christ won for us on his cross, that many saints and martyrs have died for, that our very own soldiers have died for. Let us go forth and give testimony to true Christian freedom, true American freedom, a freedom of self-restraint. Because it is only this freedom that will restore the life, restore the soul of our nation, and not allow it to be destroyed.